Thank you to our sponsor, Johnson Construction and Development, Inc.
So I'll be talking today on, are we getting all of the government that we're paying for in California? And I can see some people saying, we don't want all the government that we're paying for. But it's a serious question, and to answer it, I need to take you all the way back to the beginning. And the fact that throughout human history, mankind has debated about the best way to govern ourselves and about how big our government ought to be. In fact, the disagreement about the size of government is one of the most pervasive political debates in the world today. And it's also been a topic of debate in our country. In the United States, the battle over the size of government goes all the way back to the founding of our nation, where there were two primary ideologies concerning the size and the scope of government. So on the one hand, you had the Federalists. They were led by Alexander Hamilton and John Adams, and they argued for a large, centralized federal government. The Federalists believed that a strong central government was necessary to secure and protect the rights of citizens. On the other side were the Democratic Republicans, led by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. They advocated for smaller, decentralized state governments because they feared that government control would look very similar to rule by a monarch, and they had just finished winning freedom from the English monarchy. So today, the debate of small government versus big government can be summed up as whether people prefer high taxes and many government services or low taxes and fewer government service. Which side of the debate that you're on depends on whether you believe that the government provides good value for the taxes it collects. So it's helpful to use a graph to visualize this trade-off, and I'll be gentle. The arrow shows that as taxes increase, services also increase, and the area below the line, where taxes are low for services provided, represents good value, while the area above the line represents poor value. So in California, the philosophy of state government has been that government has a responsibility to provide services such as education and a social safety net to its residents, and that those services justify taxes that are higher than those in other states. So let's look at the values behind that statement. Let's start our discussion with taxes. California has the highest income tax rate of any state at over 13%. Now, it's true that this is the marginal tax rate, so it's a rate paid by only the top earners. However, per capita, Californians pay nearly $2,000 each in state taxes. We also have the highest state sales tax rate at 7.25%. Sales taxes are even higher if you include local sales taxes. In parts of Los Angeles County, for example, total sales tax exceeds 10%. And of course, thanks to the recently enacted gas tax increase, California has the highest total gas tax in the nation. If you just consider the official state tax on gasoline, we're second highest. But including other government fees, we are highest by a large margin. And unfortunately, there is possibly much more to come. This year, my colleagues in the California State Legislature have introduced bills to impose an additional $15 billion in new taxes. These include new taxes on drinking water, estates, tires, batteries, and phone service. So the question is, are we getting the government services that this revenue is supposed to provide? Remember, the trade-off is supposed to be that if taxes are high, we should have, in return, the best of everything the government has to offer. So how are we doing with that? Well, let's start with education. According to a comprehensive recent study, California has the 12th worst school system in America. In reading test scores, we ranked 47th. In math, we ranked 46th. And in student-teacher ratios, we were ranked, unfortunately, dead last. Let's talk about infrastructure. According to the Reason Foundation's annual highway report, California ranks 46th in interstate pavement condition. The top 3 cities with the worst roads in the country are all in California, and we also have the worst traffic in the entire country. Our social safety net is also failing. California has the worst poverty of any state in the country. Over 20% of Californians live in poverty. That's over 1 in 5 of us. And over 130,000 Californians sleep on the streets every night. We also have the highest child poverty rate in the country. Given these statistics, it's not surprising that California also leads the nation in homelessness. A quarter of the total homeless population in the entire country can be found right here. And of the 10 cities in the US with the highest rates of homelessness, 3 are in California. That is unacceptable. So let's go back to our graph of taxes versus services. Given the statistics we've just discussed, where do you think California falls on that graph? It's very clear that not only are taxes high, but the quality of service is low, meaning that Californians get very poor value from their government. This is not a partisan issue. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether you're liberal or conservative, whether you believe in big government or smaller government, we should all be able to agree that we are not getting the government that we are paying for. So what should we do about this? We should all be able to agree that change is needed. The only way to improve the services that government offers and their impact on the lives of the people that live in our state is to demand changes in the way our state is governed. I'm Assemblyman Jay Obernolte. Thank you for listening.